It had been raining all night. Heavy winds slammed against the windows, and thunder cracked so loudly it made the ground shake. Alex sat alone in his small house on the edge of the forest, trying to finish his dinner. He didn't expect anything strange to happen. The world had been calm for years, ever since the last alien war ended. But something about tonight felt different. The wind didn't sound normal. It sounded like something massive was moving through the trees. Branches cracked, and something big thudded against the ground, over and over. Alex paused and stood up, holding his breath as he listened. Then the lights flickered and died. The power was gone. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped to the window. As he wiped away the fog on the glass, he saw movement in the darkness. Something tall, something wide. Something walking straight toward his house. Alex froze. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum. Then came the sound of claws dragging across his roof. Before he could move, the roof ripped open like paper. Shards of wood and metal flew across the room. Rain poured in. And standing in the center of the destruction was something he never expected to see. A massive blue-skinned alien woman with black wings and glowing eyes stared down at him. She was at least 10 feet tall, maybe more. Her body was covered in rough, tribal armor, leather straps and carved metal protecting her chest and waist. Her muscles were strong like stone, her skin marked with glowing lines that pulsed like fire underwater. Her wings spread out, dark and heavy, covering half the ruined ceiling. Alex stumbled back in shock. The flashlight slipped from his hand. It rolled on the floor, casting wild shadows. He stared up at the creature, unsure if he should run or speak. She looked down at him with sharp eyes, and then pointed one clawed finger right at him. Her voice was loud, deep, and firm. "You owe me a life debt, human," she said. "By our laws, you must serve me now." Alex blinked, still in disbelief. His house was destroyed. Rain poured around him. And now this enormous alien woman was claiming he belonged to her. He had no idea what was going on. She stepped down into the living room. Each step made the ground creak. Furniture cracked under her weight. Her long black hair was wet from the rain, and her expression was not angry, but serious, controlled. She did not speak again yet. She simply studied him, as if trying to decide what kind of creature he was. "I think you made a mistake," Alex finally said, raising his hands. "I didn't do anything. I don't even know you." But the alien narrowed her eyes and shook her head. "You saved one of mine last year," she replied. "You pulled her from your river. You fed her. She told us before she died. I owe you a warrior's bond now." Alex remembered something. A strange creature, barely alive, lying near the river during a storm. He had pulled her from the mud, tried to help her breathe, given her food and water. She vanished the next morning. He had assumed it was all a dream. But now, standing before him, was the result of that action. "My name is Varkana," the alien said. "I am commander of the Black Talon clans. By our tradition, you saved blood. Now I protect you until the debt is paid. I will live where you live. I will fight where you fight. And when danger comes, I will be your shield." Her voice did not tremble. She spoke like it was law. Alex didn't know what to say. His house was broken, his roof gone. A giant alien warrior stood in his living room, soaked from the rain, declaring herself his guardian. This wasn't some sci-fi fantasy, it was happening now. His brain struggled to keep up, but one thing was certain. Nothing would be the same again. Kana looked around at the broken walls and broken furniture. "This shelter is weak," she said. "I will repair it tomorrow. Tonight, you will rest under my wings." She stepped toward him, and with one strong motion, reached up and held a piece of the torn roof over them, both like an umbrella. Lightning flashed again, and Alex could see her clearly. Her eyes were golden and glowing. Her wings shimmered with water. She looked strong enough to crush steel, but there was something calm in her face. She wasn't here to hurt him. She was here because she believed she owed him something. Alex didn't believe in life debts. He didn't believe in ancient alien warrior laws, but the look in her eyes made him stop. She believed it. And for some reason, that belief had brought her all the way through a storm to his tiny house, just to stand over him with her wings and shield him from the rain. The night dragged on. Thunder rumbled far away. Varkana sat near the fireplace, using her huge wing to block the cold wind. She watched over him silently while he lay curled under a blanket on the couch. Sleep came slowly, but it came. And when he drifted off, the last thing he saw was her still watching him. Whatever this was, warrior tradition, alien culture, or just a misunderstanding, it had become real. Varkana had chosen him. She believed he was owed protection. And now she was part of his life, whether he wanted it or not. The storm outside raged harder, but inside, he felt strangely safe for the first time in days. Asterisk. Morning light broke through the broken roof. Rain had stopped, but the clouds still hung low in the sky. The air smelled like wet dirt and splintered wood. Alex opened his eyes slowly, and for a moment, he forgot everything that happened. Then, he turned his head and saw her still there, sitting silently beside the wall. Varkana had not moved much during the night. She sat with her legs crossed, and one massive wing draped behind him like a curtain. Her eyes were open. She was not asleep. She had been watching over him the whole time. As soon as he stirred, her head turned slightly, acknowledging his waking without a word. "Did you stay up all night?" Alex asked, his voice dry. Varkana nodded once. "I do not sleep easily on foreign ground. It is part of the bond. I protect while you are weak." She stood up slowly, towering above him as she stretched her arms and wings. Her body seemed built for battle, not rest. The damage to the house was worse than he thought. Half the living room was open to the sky. Rain had soaked the floors. The sofa was destroyed. His kitchen was filled with leaves and broken shingles. Varkana stepped carefully over the mess, scanning the edges of the room with practiced focus. "I will repair what I can," she said. "But we must also leave soon. This place is too open, too easy to track. If they come, you will not survive in this structure." Alex sat up. "Wait, who's coming? What are you talking about?" Varkana didn't answer right away. She stared out the broken wall toward the forest. "There are others like me," she said slowly. "Not all believe in the old ways. Some call me weak for honoring the debt. But one among them may try to claim you, to test me, to shame me." Her voice was steady, but her wings flexed tightly as she spoke. Alex felt a chill, even though the storm had passed. "You think they'll come here?" he asked. "Just for me?" Varkana turned back to him, her golden eyes serious. "Not just for you. For pride, for the challenge. If I lose you, I lose honor. If I win, they lose face. It is our way. I did not make it, but I follow it." Alex didn't know how to respond to that. He grabbed a jacket and stepped outside for air. The sun peeked through the clouds. Birds chirped. It looked peaceful, but now he understood that peace was only on the surface. Something deeper was coming. Something dangerous. And standing between him and that danger was a 10-foot alien warrior. Varkana stepped outside behind him, her feet sinking slightly into the wet soil. She looked up at the sky, then down at the trees. "We must move. There's a place nearby, a cave. It has a roof of stone. There I can watch all directions. You will be safer." She spread her wings and waited for his answer. Alex stared at her. She had destroyed his roof, but also protected him. She talked about honor, danger, and rules he didn't understand, but something in her presence made him trust her. She didn't lie, she didn't flatter, she just acted. And right now, action was what he needed. He nodded. All right. Lead the way. Varkana didn't smile, but she gave a short nod in return. She walked ahead through the wet grass, her wings folded tightly behind her. Alex followed, stepping carefully between puddles. The forest loomed ahead, dark and full of echoes from the storm. They walked for miles. The trees grew taller and thicker. Varkana moved with surprising grace for her size. She knew where to step, which branch to break, which noise to ignore. Alex tried to keep up. His legs ached, but he didn't complain. Something about her silence made him stay quiet too. Finally, they reached a stone ridge at the edge of a hill. Varkana pointed to a dark opening half covered by vines and moss. Inside, she said, it opens into a large chamber. We can stay hidden there until the threat is gone. She ducked low and entered the cave with ease, vanishing into shadow. Alex hesitated for just a second, then followed. The air inside was cool and dry. The walls echoed with the sound of their footsteps. Varkana led him to a wide chamber where soft light filtered through cracks in the stone above. It was quiet, safe, almost like a forgotten temple, she placed her pack on the floor. Alex hadn't even noticed she was carrying one. From it, she pulled folded metal sheets, strange tools, and what looked like dried food. She worked quickly, building a small fire pit, laying a thermal blanket near the wall, and checking her weapon, which glowed softly with alien energy. Alex sat nearby, watching her move. Every motion had purpose. She didn't waste time. She didn't hesitate. He finally asked, "What are you really, a soldier? A queen? A hunter?" She didn't look up. "I am what my people made me. Strong, because I had to be. Alone, because I chose to be. But I do not break bonds." Silence settled. Again. Only the fire crackled gently. Alex stared at her wings as she folded them close. There were scars across her arms and legs. Some old, some new. She had been through war. Many wars. And now, for reasons he still barely understood, she was in this cave, guarding him like a priceless thing. He looked down at his hands. "I didn't ask for this," he said. "I didn't want anyone getting hurt because of me." Varkana stood and walked toward him, kneeling down to meet his eyes. "You didn't ask, you acted. You saved one of us. That is enough for a warrior's vow. Now I protect you until my debt is cleared." Asterisk. The cave stayed quiet most of the day. Wind howled outside, but inside it felt safe. Alex sat near the small fire while Varkana checked the entrance again and again. She moved like a soldier in enemy land. Every sound made her wings twitch. Every shadow made her hand reach for her weapon. He wanted to ask her more, about her world, about the vow. But she wasn't the kind to talk much without reason. So instead, he waited. He'd boiled water with a small camping stove and handed her a cup. She took it silently, her fingers brushing his for just a second before pulling away. "You said others might come," Alex said after a long pause. "What happens if they do?" Varkana looked at the fire for a while before speaking. "If they are from my clan, they will test me. If they are from another, they may try to take you. If they are enemies, they will try to kill us both." Alex's stomach twisted. He wasn't a fighter. He didn't know how to use weapons. But she looked calm even when saying the word kill. "And you can stop them?" he asked. She finally turned to him. "I will not fail. Not while I still draw breath. You carry a bond. Now you are under my wing." The next morning, Alex woke to the sound of a heavy thud outside the cave. Varkana was already up, sword in hand, crouched near the entrance. She held up one hand to signal silence. Another thud echoed. Then a growl, deep and wet, rolled across the stone walls like thunder. Varkana stepped outside without a word. Alex followed carefully, keeping low. Through the trees, a massive shape moved. Something hunched, gray, and full of muscle. It had 6 legs and armored plates down its back. Its head looked like a hammer, with black tusks curving out. "That's not one of yours," Alex whispered. Varkana shook her head. "No, this is a tracker beast. It follows heat and breath. Someone sent it. Someone wants you found." She didn't wait for him to ask who. She lunged forward, blade flashing in the morning light as she met the creature head-on. The fight was fast and brutal. The beast roared and slammed its tusks into a tree. Varkana dodged, wings flaring out behind her. She drove her blade deep into its side, rolled under it, and sliced again. The beast shrieked. It charged blindly, crashing into stone. She jumped onto its back and drove the sword down. Blood poured from the beast's body as it fell still. Its legs twitched. Its breath turned into a weak hiss. Varkana stood over it, panting hard, her armor soaked in sweat and blue splashes from its blood. She looked up at Alex. "They know where you are now." This was a message. Alex's hands were shaking. He had never seen something that violent happen so fast, but Varkana didn't flinch. She cleaned her blade and stepped away from the beast's corpse. "We must leave again. Higher ground. I need better sight lines. I must know what comes next before it arrives." They moved again, this time deeper into the cliffs. The ground turned rocky. The air grew thinner. Varkana found a narrow pass that opened to a ledge overlooking the valley. There, she set up a new camp. From here, she could see for miles. Nothing would sneak up on them easily. As the sun dipped, she scanned the horizon. Her golden eyes caught every shadow, every bird, every broken branch. She barely blinked. Alex sat beside her, trying to feel useful. He set up their small fire. Again, he tried to ask about the beast, but she only said, "A test, a warning. More will follow." That night, as they rested, Varkana told him a little more. "In my world, bonds are sacred. But they are also a weakness. Rivals look for any crack. If I lose you, even by accident, they will call me broken. If I run, they will call me coward. So I do not run. I fight." Her words were simple, but the meaning was heavy. She had chosen this path. She could have ignored the ancient law. She could have left him behind. But she didn't. And now she had become a wall between him and the rest of the galaxy. A living shield that would not step aside. Alex didn't know how to help her. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't strong. But he wanted to do something. "Teach me," he said. Varkana raised one brow. "Teach you what? How to fight, how to survive. I can't just watch you bleed while I hide. If I carry a bond, I should earn it." She looked at him for a long time. Then she stood and reached behind her belt, pulling out a smaller blade. It glowed faintly in the dark. She handed it to him without a smile, without a word of comfort. Only a nod. Then, "Tomorrow we begin." Morning came with a cold wind. The valley below was quiet, but the sky felt heavy. Alex stood outside the ledge, gripping the training blade Varkana had given him. It was lighter than it looked, warm to the touch, and hummed slightly when he moved it. Varkana stood across from him, arms crossed, wings folded. "You are too soft in the arms," she said. "Your feet must hold ground, not float. You fight like a leaf." Alex gave a weak grin. "I've never fought anything in my life." Varkana didn't smile. She stepped forward and shoved his shoulder, then learned fast. Because the next thing that comes won't wait for you. Training began without rest. Varkana showed him stances, grips, and how to feel the ground beneath him. She made him swing the blade again and again. When he fell, she pulled him up. When he slipped, she made him do it twice more. Her voice never rose. She trained with purpose, not anger. Alex's body ached by noon. His arms burned. Sweat dripped down his neck, but something inside him refused to stop. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was pride. Or maybe it was the way Varkana never looked away from him. She expected more from him. And somehow that gave him strength. After hours of training, she called a stop. Enough. Eat. Rest. Pain is good, but you are not made of stone. Alex dropped to the ground, breathing hard. His legs trembled, but he smiled through it. He was tired, but he wasn't broken. He had lasted longer than he thought he would. They sat by the fire. Varkana handed him dried meat from her pouch. He chewed slowly, watching her sharpen her blade. Why did you really come? He asked. Why not just say thank you and go? She didn't answer right away. Her hands moved over the blade with slow, careful strokes. My sister, she said finally. The one you saved. Her name was Druna. She was the last of my blood. I failed to protect her. But you did not. That kind of honor cannot be ignored. Her voice did not shake. Her face stayed still. But there was a weight behind her words that filled the cave like a storm. Alex looked down at the fire. I didn't know. I just saw someone in pain and helped. Varkana nodded. That is why the vow matters. You acted with no gain, no reward. That makes you worth protecting. She stared into the flames as if she could see something far beyond the stone walls. Night came fast. They took turns keeping watch. Alex tried not to fall asleep during his shift. Varkana stood near the edge, wings spread just slightly. She didn't speak much now. She listened. She watched. And Alex understood something. She wasn't just protecting him from outside threats. She was guarding herself too, from guilt, from failure, from the voices of her people who questioned her choices. Every moment she stood beside him, she proved her bond again. She carried the weight of her sister's memory and the honor of her clan, alone. Before dawn, a sound broke the silence. It was not thunder or beast. It was metal scraping stone. Varkana's wings snapped open. She stepped away from the fire, pulling her sword with fluid speed. Alex followed, holding the training blade tighter than before. Stay behind me, she said. From the shadows at the far side of the ridge, 3 figures emerged. All wore dark armor with glowing lines across their arms and legs. Their faces were hidden behind helmets shaped like bird skulls. They moved like shadows, fast and silent, but Varkana didn't move. She waited. The lead figure stepped forward. His voice was cold. You shame your blood, Varkana. One human is not worth exile. Varkana raised her blade. He carries my sister's debt. He carries my oath. Step closer and you will test more than words. Her voice struck like iron against stone. Alex stayed behind her, heart pounding. These weren't beasts. These were her own kind. Warriors like her. Bigger, sharper, maybe stronger. But none of them had the fire in their voice like she did. None of them looked at him like he mattered. That made the difference. The warriors stepped into a circle. It was not a surprise attack. It was a challenge. A test of worth. Varkana didn't wait. She lunged, blade flashing. Alex couldn't look away. The fight was brutal. Wings clashed. Sparks flew. One by one, she brought them down with clean, powerful strikes. She didn't kill them. only wounded them enough to stop the fight. The last warrior dropped his blade and knelt. "The bond holds," he said. "She fights for it with truth." Then they vanished into the trees, silent and swift. Alex stood frozen, staring at the blood on the stones. Varkana turned to him, breathing hard. "It is done. They will not return. They saw your worth in my blade." Her armor was scratched. Blood dripped from her arm. But she stood tall, wings spread, a storm of strength in the quiet dawn. The sun had barely risen, yet the smell of smoke still hung in the air. Alex knelt near the stones where Varkana had fought the night before. Blood stained the rocks, some dark blue, some red. He touched the training blade resting on his lap, and looked over at Varkana sitting by the cliff's edge, silently watching the valley below. Her wounds were cleaned, but still raw. Bandages wrapped around her arm and side, but she refused rest. "Pain reminds me I'm still here," she had said earlier. Alex wanted to argue, to tell her to lie down, but he already knew she wouldn't listen. She had won the fight, but something still weighed on her. He walked over slowly and sat beside her. "You proved your bond," he said. "They won't question it again." Varkana didn't answer right away. Her golden eyes stayed locked on the horizon. They were not the last. They were only scouts, testing my resolve. The true challenge has not come yet. Alex looked toward the woods. Everything looked calm, like the world didn't know what had happened. "Who's coming next?" he asked. Varkana tightened her fists. "Jorak, a war leader. He opposed my sister's ways. He sent the beast. He sent the scouts. Now he will come himself." Her voice was low, like stone grinding against stone. "He believes honor is weakness. He mocks tradition. If he defeats me, your bond ends. You become his to claim, his to use. I cannot allow that." Alex felt the cold in her words. She was not afraid for herself. She was afraid for him. They spent the day preparing. Varkana reforged her armor with pieces scavenged from fallen warriors. Alex gathered stones and sharpened sticks into makeshift spikes. He knew it was little, but it gave him purpose. She didn't stop him. She let him stand beside her and work. In the afternoon, she trained him again. This time her strikes were faster. She made him move, dodge, and block. He fell more than once. His hands blistered. But each time he got up, she gave a nod of approval. "Your fear is turning into motion," she said. "That is a warrior's first step." They didn't speak much while they worked. But silence between them no longer felt cold. It felt like understanding. Like the kind of silence shared between two people who had already spoken what mattered. Their bond had changed. It was no longer just about tradition. It had become personal. As night came, Varkana stood near the cliff, sharpening her blade. Her wings caught the moonlight, casting long shadows. Alex approached her. "Will he come tonight?" She didn't turn. "Yes, he will want darkness. He will want surprise. But I want him to come. Because now I am ready." Alex reached out and touched her shoulder gently. "You're not alone in this." She looked at him, not with surprise but with something quieter, respect. She placed her hand over his briefly, then turned back to the darkness. "Then stay close. Do not break the circle when the fight begins." Midnight fell like a hammer. The wind shifted. The trees below the ridge began to sway unnaturally. Then, out of the shadows, a figure climbed the rocks. Taller than any of the warriors before. Clad in spiked armor, with glowing red eyes and black horns curled over his head. Jorak had come. Varkana stepped forward, blade raised, wings wide. "You know why I fight," she said. Jorak sneered. "You shame your bloodline. You fight for a lesser being. Let me end this, and I'll make your death quick." Varkana didn't reply. She struck first, a blur of movement faster than any wind. The two clashed like thunder. Sparks flew with every strike. Their weapons screamed against each other. Zorak was stronger, heavier. But Varkana was faster, sharper. She spun, blocked, dodged, and struck. The cliff shook with the force of their battle. Alex watched, heart racing, blade ready. Zorak grabbed Varkana's wing and slammed her into the rocks. She cried out, but pushed back with a roar, flipping him over her shoulder. She struck his helmet, cracking it, then drove her blade toward his chest. But he caught it and knocked it away. The two stood again, bloodied and breathing hard. Alex stepped forward, unable to stay back. Zorak's eyes flicked to him. "You, the cause of this foolishness." He charged toward Alex with fury in his voice. Alex raised his blade, knees shaking. Varkana saw it and screamed his name. She leapt between them just as Zorak's blade swung down. The blade sliced across her back. She stumbled but didn't fall. Her arm swept up and struck Zorak's weapon from his hand. With one final roar, she drove her sword through his chest. He gasped, eyes wide, then dropped to his knees. "The bond holds," she said through clenched teeth. Zorak collapsed. His body rolled to the edge of the cliff and lay still. Varkana dropped to one knee, her breath ragged. Alex rushed to her side, catching her before she fell. Blood soaked her armor. Her eyes fluttered, but she stayed. "Conscious, you are safe. The bond remains." Alex held Varkana tightly as she bled in his arms. Her breathing was rough, but her grip on his sleeve remained strong. He didn't know what to do except stay close and keep pressure on the wounds. Her armor was cracked, her skin bruised. But her eyes were still steady and clear. "You need help," he whispered. "I need to stop the bleeding." She shook her head. "No healer nearby. You must use the kit, my belt. Pouch on the right." Alex reached carefully, pulling out a small black case with alien symbols. Inside were tubes, glowing patches, and a thick red gel. He didn't understand what most of it was, but she guided him through it. "Spread gel, seal wounds. Use the patch to lock it. Then wait. My body will do the rest." Her voice was calm, but Alex could see the pain behind her. Words. She was holding on for him. He followed her instructions, pressing the gel into the deep gashes. It hissed and steamed, making her wince. Then he wrapped the patch over her side and back, sealing it tight. Her breathing eased slightly. "Good," she said. "You learn fast." Like a soldier, the wind howled across the cliff. The fight was over, but the cost was clear. Zorak lay dead near the edge. His body was broken, his weapon shattered beside him. No one else came. No more shadows. In the trees. The challenge had ended with his fall. Varkana leaned against the rock, eyes closed but awake. "It is done," she said. "The vow is seen. The debt is burned into the stone. None will question it again." Her voice trembled at the edge, but never broke. She had kept her word. She had fought to the end. Alex sat beside her, the training blade still clutched in his hand. It felt heavier now. Not because of its weight, but because of what it meant. He had held it ready. He had stood in the circle. He had earned the right to stay at her side. They spent the night in silence, resting near the fire. Varkana slept in short moments, always waking to scan the shadows. Alex stayed close, watching over her as she had done for him. The bond between them no longer felt strange. It felt like something ancient and strong. At sunrise, Varkana stood slowly. Her wounds were sealed but stiff. She looked across the valley with her arms folded and wings half open. "We cannot stay here," she said. "Others will come. Not to fight, but to ask questions, to test your truth." We must leave before the stories spread. Alex nodded. Where will we go? Varkana tilted her head toward the horizon. South. There's an old outpost in the rocks, abandoned, defensible. There we can rest. There you will learn more. She started walking, and Alex followed without hesitation. The journey was long, but quieter now. The land stretched wide and calm. Animals moved through the brush without fear. The sky cleared, and sunlight touched everything golden. Alex didn't speak much. He didn't need to. He understood now what she had carried this whole time. They reached the outpost before sunset. It was built into the side of a cliff, with stone walls and towers that had long fallen into silence. Varkana inspected the entrance, checked every angle, then signaled for him to follow. Inside was dry, hidden, and still strong. She sat near a dusty control panel, brushing debris aside. Alex knelt beside her. What happens now? He asked. Now we wait, she said. We build. We prepare. The war for your bond is over. But there are still those who will question. You must be more than the reason I fought. You must become the reason I was right. He understood. This wasn't just about survival. It was about proving himself worthy of the sacrifice she made. He picked up his blade again and began the drills she had shown him. Varkana watched with a slow nod. The warrior's fire had not faded from her eyes. Night returned, but this time it brought no fear. The stars above were bright. The air was still. Alex stood watch while Varkana rested at last. The giant Beastwoman, bloodied and scarred, had given everything to protect him. And now he would carry her honor with his own steps. Weeks passed quietly in the outpost. Alex trained every day, learning to move faster, strike cleaner, and hold his balance. Varkana watched him closely, offering corrections when needed. Her body healed slowly, but her spirit remained sharp. The fire in her never dimmed. The walls were rebuilt with stone and scrap. Alex fixed the power systems, using solar cells from an old satellite pod they found in the valley. Lights returned. Heat filled the rooms. It wasn't just a shelter anymore. It was their base, their home. Hunters from nearby clans came one by one. Some brought offerings. Some asked questions. Some came with quiet eyes, just to look at the human who had caused a war and survived. None challenged them. Not after hearing how Jorak had fallen. Word of the fight spread across their worlds. Varkana was no longer just a warrior. She became a symbol of something older, something many had forgotten. That the bond still mattered. That honor was more than a word carved in stone. That strength could come from protection, not just power. Alex stood by her through it all. He didn't speak in their meetings unless asked. He let his actions speak. He trained harder. He hunted food. He helped repair armor. He learned their customs, their language, and their values. And because of that, they accepted him. One night, as they sat beneath the stars, Varkana placed a new blade in Alex's hands. It was not for training. It was forged in silence, with steel touched by the fire of her people. This is your mark now, she said. Not just as one I protect, but as one who walks beside me. Alex looked at the weapon, and then at her. Does that mean the debt is paid? She stared into the fire. Yes, and no. I protected you. You protected me. We are past the bond. We are equals now. If you leave, no one will stop you. But if you stay, we build something new. He didn't answer right away. He stared at the flame, then looked up at the stars. He thought of his old life, his house, his quiet forest. But it felt distant now, small, like it belonged to someone else. The man sitting beside the giant warrior was no longer the man who had once feared the dark. I'm staying, he said. Not because of the vow, not because of honor. I stay because I choose this. I choose you. Varkana didn't smile, but her eyes shone with quiet fire. She stood, offered her hand, and he took it without hesitation. Together, they climbed to the edge of the outpost tower. The stars above stretched wide and endless. Below, the valley slept in peace. The wind carried no threats, only whispers of the stories that would be told. Stories of the human who earned a Beastwoman's loyalty and stood his ground. And as the night settled over them, two warriors stood side by side, equal in strength, equal in choice. The bond that had once been forced by law had become something stronger. A promise made not by blood, but by respect.